second session by Professor Matthew Manimala, researcher as knowledge creator, the publish or perish predicament. Professor Matthew Manimala has retired as director of XIME Bangalore in 2018, and prior to joining the JIME Bangalore in 2015, he served as professor of organization behavior and chairperson of OB and HRM area at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, for a very, very long time, about 1.5 years, and a senior member of faculty and chairman of HR area at Administrative Staff College of India, Hyderabad, again for about 13 years. And at IMB, he has worked with the NS Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurial Learning, primarily to build the research competencies of the center during his early years, where he served as Jamuna Raghavan Chair Professor of Entrepreneurship for 2 terms and Chairperson of NSRCEL, that is NS Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurship Learning, for 1 term. He is a Senior Enterprise Fellow of School of Entrepreneurship and Business, University of Essex in UK, a member of International Advisory Board of Institute of Management Innovation at Kinki University, Osaka, Japan. He has obtained his MBA degree from University of Cochin and Master of Business Science degree from University of Manchester, UK, and Fellowship in Management or doctoral degree from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and he received several honors and awards. A few of them are Certificate of Distinction for Outstanding Research in the field of New Enterprise Development, Hager Award from the Academy of Management in recognition of his pioneering work on entrepreneurial heuristics. He has been awarded research fellowship by prestigious international agencies such as European Foundation for Management Development for a research fellowship at Manchester Business School, and the Sastry Indo-Canadian Institute for a research fellowship at the University of Calgary, Canada. In July 2001, he was honored by CMO Asia with the Best Professor of Human Resource Management Award at the second Asia's Best B School Award function held at Singapore. And in February 2013, a similar award was conferred on him by Economic Times Now in association with B School Affair and World Education Congress. He is also a recipient of Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Federation for Entrepreneurship Development. With this introduction, I invite you to Professor Matthew Manimala's session on researcher as knowledge creator, publish or perish predicament. Professor Matthew, sir, all yours.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. I suppose I am audible, isn't it?
To Perfect,
everyone?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. Very good morning.
Okay.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay. I heard some voices from somewhere. That's why it's okay.
All those who are not speaking may please mute.
Okay, so, I used to have, let me start with an apology because though that is not normally a good kind of a start, I have not been very well these days. I am having bronchial allergy, which has aggravated. So occasionally you may have a kind of disruption because of that. So that is the kind of introduction I would like to give you. But thanks, Professor Bhatta, for the elaborate introduction. I will be talking to you not mainly about the process of publication, but how do you generate the content that is good for publication and that is valuable for the people, the researchers and others. So that is the kind of issue that I'll be dealing with, because most of us often focus on getting something published. That's a good idea, one needs to do that, but at the same time we also have to see whether what we are researching on is relevant and useful to the society. Now, one of the things that since we are going through this COVID situation, many are the academics who have been complaining that they are not able to do much work during this time and all that. So that is why I thought of starting with sorry, this slides are not moving. Is Dr. Bhatta there? Oh, that is because I think he has uploaded it. I'll close this and upload from my side. I hope that will work. Dr. Bhatta, I think I will close this slide from your slide.
I will stop sharing from my side, sir. You can start sharing from your side.
I will share it from my side.
I'll just stop it, sir.
Then I can, operate it
Yes,
from
yes.
my side.
At your own speed, you can keep changing.
Yeah, that is right.
I'm stopping, sir.
All right.
Are you able to share?
Let me see. I had opened that file here. Here. For sharing.
Just in the center, share screen will be there, sir.
I know, but I think I have lost the main screen also.
At the bottom, zoom symbol will be there in your toolbar. You can see.
No, but before that. Okay, now has it come? This has become a major issue. Okay. Share screen.
Yes.
Yeah,
we can
now it
start
has
seeing
come.
this.
All
Yes.
right.
Put
Yes.
it to slideshow mode, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, now it will move. All right. All right. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. But what I thought was, as we are going through this COVID times, there are many academics who say that they are not able to do much research work. And in some cases, in earlier cases of pandemics like this, universities used to be closed. And in those days, today at least we have this online system. But in those days, there was absolutely nothing available. Therefore, people were at a loss as to what to do at that time. All the institutions are closed and all that. So I am now referring to one such instance, which is about the London plague. Now, all of you know who is sitting here. This is Isaac Newton sitting under the apple tree. It's a well-known story, but I'm going to elaborate it a little more because when this London plague happened, Newton was studying at Cambridge Trinity College. So he, in those days, if you a plague affected person, if he touches a thing and carries that, and somebody else touches that, they would get infected. So that is why the university said that students should leave the place without carrying anything, not even their books. They should go in the clothes they were wearing. And therefore, Newton was very unhappy at that time that he couldn't even carry his books with him. So he left, and he was, of course, with this in his village, uh, and he had time. But a real academic, will not waste his time. They will have some way or the other. Basically, the opportunity for you to reflect on something, and that is what produces knowledge. It is not that you should always be reading. Of course, reading is required, that preparation is required. But then you need to contrast that with the kind of experience that you have. Now, what Newton did when he was in his village was he started working on certain number, manipulations, which, of course, they started it in the university itself. But the way he did it was different from what was taught. That is where the innovation comes in. And that kind of manipulation finally led to the invention of calculus. So that is one major discovery he did during that time. The second thing was he was very much interested in optics, study of light. And but he didn't have any laboratory there to do these studies. But what he did was he closed his bedroom and then almost completely sealed it from, rays coming in, but created a small hole in the window, and there from that a small beam would come in. There he would keep a prism and then started observing the refraction of light. Now this is how he started developing his theories on optics. And the third one, everyone knows that he was, sitting and, under the apple tree, and he saw an apple falling, and then he started reflecting on that. Now, this is a very commonplace instance, an apple falling. If I see an apple falling, what will I do? I may check whether it is edible or not, and then if it is not, I'll throw it away. If it is edible, I'll eat. That's all. So it all depends on the learner's mindset, what you do with your experience. And that is what should happen. It need not be very great experience in order to generate new ideas. And that is my, what I would like to tell you, that you should generate your ideas from your, commonplace experiences. It may not be directly related to management or, your science or whatever it is. But you are able to, you being the learner will be able to link it with that and generate the develop theories. Now what happens in academics is that you have, the teaching is considered to be your main job, and therefore you focus on that. That is natural. So which is the dissemination of somebody, the knowledge generated by somebody else. Now, if you are in a real knowledge business, then you should participate in the other aspects of the knowledge business, which is also, unless you generate something, you cannot disseminate. Of course, you can borrow and disseminate. That's what traders do in the business. They take it from the manufacturers and disseminate or sell it. So that is a major type of activity. That is no complaint about it, but you should also participate in the generation of knowledge and of course in the application of knowledge in the other fields. So these are the three most important functions of the knowledge business. That is why the regulators and accreditation agencies, they all insist that academics should also be doing research and publishing. Now, when it makes a kind of mandatory activity, then I think you may do it for the sake of doing it. So that is why research becomes a ritualistic requirement of the profession, not necessarily an outcome of one's curiosity. And publication becomes an extrinsically imposed need. If you want to get your promotion or increment or something like that, you need to publish. And therefore I publish, not because I have something different to tell the audience or tell the society. So that is the kind of ritualistic orientation. And in this context, I am often reminded of a story from the scouts. In the scout, there is a system that all these boys will have to do something good. Scout is also to promote social orientation and helping nature and all that. So they are supposed to do at least one good act they did during the week, and therefore normally the instructors don't take that very seriously, but one instructor was very serious about it, and he used to ask them every week, what did you do this week? So, in one case, students started talking about how they helped others and all that. So, one boy said that I helped an old lady cross the road. So, somebody else said something else, and then again, this story about helping old lady cross the road, was getting repeated. And at the end, there were about six people who said the same thing. And then the instructor was a little curious. He asked them, are you all talking about the same old lady? And then they said yes. Then he asked them, what was the need for six people to help an old lady cross the road? Then they said, the old lady did not want to cross the road, but we had to physically carry her. And that is why all six people were needed. And we left her at the other side. And, this is because we had to report something to you. So this kind of an orientation really spoils our research. We do it because we have to do something, publish and report to somebody. So that is not a healthy orientation. And this actually the problem is aggravated by the system in India, where teaching is fairly low paid. Whereas in the Western countries, a professor would get, as high a salary as a chief executive of a company or something like that. So, but in India, it is different. In fact, when I was teaching at IIM, uh, towards the time of my retirement, which means I was drawing one of the highest salaries there, uh, you know, the students who graduate and take up their first job were sometimes getting maybe 5 times, 10 times more than the senior most professor. So that is the kind of salary differentials we have in our country compared to teaching profession. So low remuneration for teaching. So what happens is the brighter people don't come into teaching in general. I'm not talking about the present company. I am sure all of you came because you had the competence and because you were interested. But the general trend is something like, if you after 12th class, if you are, really bright, you go into engineering or medicine or something like that. And if you don't get into something of that, then you go for graduation. And after graduation, if you can get a bank job, or get an the IAS or IPS or something like that, government administration, that kind of a job, then you don't pursue it further, of course. And if you don't get any job at that time also, then you say think of doing post graduation. And therefore there is a kind of self selection of low caliber individuals into post graduation. And then after post graduation, what do? You start teaching. And for teaching, PhD is a must. And therefore you do PhD, not because you are, I'm not, as I told you, I'm not talking about the present company at all, but the general trend is that people who did not get selected in some other areas, those are the people who normally come in. But research requires very high mental caliber, and therefore this system is actually not helping the best people to come into the teaching profession. So when they come in, they don't know what is to be done for research, and therefore they think that, or we think, people who are supposed to help them with research, we think that the best thing is for giving them some training. And what can you train? You cannot train to them for getting insights. That is something which is within the individual, and because the individual experiences the life and therefore reflects on that and develops this insight. Therefore what do? We say that, okay, we will train them in the research methodology. And the almost the entire training in PhD program is about research methodology, which gives them a lopsided idea that methodology is the most important. In fact, in certain universities, I have seen that the if people don't do it, use those what you call statistical methods and all that, and like uh, for the analysis and all that, they say this is not a good thesis at all. And therefore everyone wants to collect some data and then do those kinds of processing and present something, and that is considered to be research. So we give a kind of lopsided importance to methodology than the issue. Actually it should be the other way. The methodology should follow the issue to be researched. Here, what happens is I choose a methodology, and in order to suit that methodology, I choose my topic, I choose my data collection and all that. So, this is the kind of thing that is happening. But if you look at so what really happens is the methods in search of problems rather than problems searching for suitable methods. If you look at the great research, many of them may not even have methods at all. Some of them, have their own ways of uh, developing their own methods. It is not the kind of methodology prescribed by someone which was being used. But for them, the issue to be investigated is the most important. I have mentioned a few things here. For example, Newton did not use any kind of research methods. In fact, he reflected on that particular incident of a falling object, and then finally came out with a theory that the falling is happening because of the force of gravitation. Now, if it is the force of gravitation, logically, it should apply to all the objects in the same way. And that is why he came to a kind of theory that the force is not dependent on the mass of the item. The mass of the object is, irrelevant. It is the force is equally applicable to all things. Now, this was the theory he developed. And when Galileo looked at it, He couldn't accept it. He thought that objects are falling and taking different times for reaching the ground. And therefore, how can you say that this is, the force is independent of the mass? And he wanted to experiment with this. So he went on to, he was an Italian, therefore he went on to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. He thought since the tower is leaning, when you drop something, will not be any obstruction and it will come down. And then he can check this. Now he did, he had a feather in his hand and a metal ball or something. And then he dropped both of them at the same time. You all know what will happen. The metal ball will come fast, but the feather will not. And therefore, Newton's theory is wrong, isn't it? But the problem here is that he is not really operating in vacuum. The air resistance applies differently to different things. And that was the problem. And therefore, if you test, and this is why when you do research also, you need to standardize the things. Otherwise, you don't know what kind of other influences are on the other object. And that is why, for example, if some of you who are familiar with management research, culture research, you know that Hofstede's research on culture was done in different countries, but he was very particular that he would do the work only in IBM's different units. Why was it? Because different organizations will have different culture. And therefore, at least he could standardize the organization's culture. And then, if there is a difference between the cultures in different countries, then you could attribute it to the culture of the country. Otherwise, whether it is the culture of the country or the organization, that will be difficult to find. And that is why, Galileo designed his own method of testing it again, another one. Now, that is something like a children's play equipment where, it is a sliding kind of this one. When PhD students aspirants used to come to me, I used to draw that on the board and show the two metal balls on that, and then ask the students, do you think this is a research methodology? Nobody would think that it is a research methodology. They would always say that, oh, this is some children's play equipment. So, what Galileo did was, instead of having feather and metal ball, he wanted to standardize the nature of the object and therefore metal balls of two sizes. And that he started rolling from that particular surface, assuming that their friction would also be similar. It may not be similar because of the one is a larger volume and the other is a lesser volume or something like that. Therefore, but in spite of that, there was some kind of a control of the environment, and therefore, so you see the kind of research methodology he adopted in order to test a great theory. So this is where I think you need to think about the methodology, whether it is suitable to your problem. Now, if you would like to have an example from management, for example, everybody probably has heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, how did Maslow get this idea? He was from a very poor family. And his mother used to be very, very strict about keeping the food items under control, because she has to go for work, and when she comes back, she has to provide for the family. Therefore, things should be available there. So she used to keep the food locked. And Maslow, he was, when he feels hungry, he wanted to eat something, but nothing is available at home. Everything is locked up. Now, if you even Google about Maslow, you will find that the kind of statements he has made about his own mother, I have never seen anybody talking so bad about one's own mother. He said she was very stingy, she was prejudiced, she was ugly, she was this one, that one, all kinds of bad attributes were given on the particular, on the mother. This was very strange of a great psychologist. I was really shocked when I saw that. But the problem was that during his childhood, he was so badly affected by the poverty and the inability to eat something at the time when he was hungry. So this is how, he, so he had two deficiencies at that time. He was deprived of his physical needs of not getting the food on time or when he needed. Then the second part was he thought his mother did not love him. So he had a deficiency about the love of the mother or parents or something like that. Therefore, now if he is offered both at the same time when he was hungry, what would he choose? He would naturally choose the food. And this is how he got this idea of the hierarchy. That is the most important one is the physiological need, and then only social safety needs and social needs and all that. So this is how he conceptualized it. Now he can definitely conceptualize like that, but all of us may not agree with that. He has to do some experiments and show it. How does he do the experiment? you know he cannot deprive people, starve people, and then check whether their preference is for the food or something else or something like that. This is not ethical. You cannot do that kind of a research on human beings. And therefore, what did he do? He picked up monkeys. You see the kind of research methodology. He picked up monkeys, starved them, deprived them of the company with other monkeys, even the kind of what you call sexual kind of thing. Also, everything was deprived of. After that, he released them, and when he released, he kept food and water separately. Food at one place and water at another place. So he saw that all the monkeys were running to not the food, the water. Between food and water, there is a hierarchy again. So they were all running to the water, and when the water place was crowded, the other monkeys who were thirsty, they were not going into the water, no, taking the food. Even though food was available, they were waiting to quench their thirst at the water place. When one monkey finished and then moves out, the other one gets in. So this is how he observed that there is a hierarchy. But if it is human beings, what would you do? Water is not available, but food is freely available. You pick up quickly whatever you can and run to find water or something like that. So the monkey's behavior will not be exactly the same as human behavior. Therefore, even though his methodology was okay, but there is a difference. Now, if you look at, for example, we said that, okay, physiological, safety, social, ego, and, self-actualization and all that is mentioned. But suppose, as you may have seen in the movie Gandhi, there is a scene where Mahatma Gandhi was fasting in Navakhale, when the riots were happening. Uh, so somebody throwing a chapati at him. That's in the movie I have seen. Maybe in actual life also it may have happened. We don't know. So this is, being thrown at him. Now, according to this theory, since he is very hungry and physiological needs is the most important priority, he would immediately grab and eat it, isn't it? But he did not, and he will not. So this is the difference between it. The methodology was actually defective. In spite of that, there is a kind of generalizable principle that this is the hierarchy. But occasionally, depending on people's training and orientation and passion and motivation and all that, there may be differences in this hierarchy. This is something, if you want to understand this, you need to understand how this whole thing evolved in the mind of Maslow. and how he came to this kind of conclusions. His sample was actually defective. What you do on monkeys cannot be generalized on human beings. Therefore, every methodology has got its own limitations, but your insights may stay. In general, this is the hierarchy, but there can be exceptions based on because of the nature of the people or the situation and all. Now, I have given many other examples here. Maybe I can uh, later on come back to this one, but just one other, or maybe you can take the one other issue just to show that how the particular experience need not be related to what you would be doing. For example, you must have heard of Herbert Simon. Herbert Simon is the only person to have received a Nobel Prize for writing in management. He did not get it in the category of management. He got it in the category of economics because there is no management category in Nobel Prizes. So he is the only one to have got it. So where did he get his ideas? His book on administrative behavior. That's the kind theory for which he got the uh, Nobel Prize. Now, once I was traveling in the US, and in the US, in the libraries, or sorry, bookshops, they have a particular system that is whenever the new books arrive, they will remove a portion of the old ones and put them in different buckets. And each buckets will be, because they want to dispose them off, will be only $1, $2, or something like that. So I was in a bookshop. I saw the buckets kept in the door. I asked my son, who is working there in the US. So I asked him, why are they keeping it there? Then he said, these are the books which are removed from the shelf for, getting place for the new ones. Old ones, they remove like this, and we can buy a bucket for $1 or $2, something like that. And I looked at the first bucket. The book that attracted me was titled Models of My Life. And this was the autobiography of Herbert Simon. And being a management student, I was so, attracted by that. I said, whatever are the other books in that, I'm going to, because you have to take the entire bucket. So I said, I'm going to take this bucket. And I took the bucket. And of course, I picked up this particular book and read almost about a quarter of it that night itself. So one instance that he has narrated there just made me think about this particular issue that we are talking about. What kind of experience would lead you to a particular kind of theory or something like that? It need not be related to that. That's what I'm telling you. Now, the instance he was narrating was that when he was a child, he used to go with other children to collect cherries. When the cherries are ripe, they are red. You are given a basket. Each boy will have to collect basket full of cherries and then get back. Now, when he was doing this work, he found that he was the slowest in the group. All other children would pluck it fast, fill their baskets, and vanish. And he would remain there, and finally he would manage to fill his basket and get back. And that is when they tested him and found that he was colorblind. And it was because of his color blindness that he was not able to distinguish between cherries and the leaves. Whereas the other children could easily distinguish them and then collect it as fast as possible. But he couldn't do that. That is why he was slow. You will have to feel and see. Anyway, so what is the association between management and this color blindness? Color blindness, normally we would think it is a medical problem or a health problem or something like that, isn't it? Or a genetic deficiency or something like that. It has nothing to do with management. But he developed a theory saying that we see things as we are, not as things are. It is my capability or incapability of seeing the color that makes me perceive this world in a different fashion, not because the world is different. The world is the same for you. And then he later on applied this into organizations. People look at issues differently because of their past experience, their particular kind of motives and prejudices, and friendships, and self vested interest. These are the kind of things that color their judgment, and therefore they also see things, or you see those issues uh, as they are, not as the issues are really. So this is the theory he developed. So he developed a theory called bounded rationality. We all claim that we are rational and we are thinking individuals, and therefore whatever we propose is the realistic picture of what happened there. No, our rationality is bounded by our kind of experiences and prejudices and all that. So we see things as we are, not as things are. So this is the theory that brought him the Nobel Prize. Of course, there he did not use any kind of, what we call the kind of methodologies and all that. It is all, based on his logic and theory, and that kind of, the book, Administrative Behavior, you can read. There is no empirical research there at all in order to establish this theory. So this is why I say the any experience is good enough, provided the learner has the ability to convert them into his own field. So that is, maybe later on, if we get time, we will maybe mention the other cases also, which I have mentioned here. But for the time being, we would move on. There are many such cases. Okay. Now, so the research process, as I mentioned, is reversed, often starting with the measuring instrument. In fact, I have seen many researchers say that, oh, in their literature review, they found a standardized instrument, or this is the one that I can measure it. So I just, send it to some, what you call, respondents. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. It may be your own students in your university. It doesn't matter. You just collect some data. You are only interested in the numbers, and this is one way of doing it. Use somebody else's questionnaire, and this is made a practice, because the reviewers also say that unless it is a standardized instrument, you don't accept a paper for publication. So for you to standardize this, that is a big effort, and therefore you say, okay, I'll take it something which is already standardized and use it. So replication of, or slight modification of some other work. They say, oh, this was done in the US using this instrument. I'll do it in India. So what additional kind of, maybe there is a kind of confirmation that what is true in the US is also true about India, or maybe slightly different. You can make some modification of the theory, that is possible. But you are not coming out with a very original kind of theory when you use somebody else's methodology, somebody else's questionnaire. So the another method of finding out the research topic, I found it was very strange. But in one of the cases where I was, some a researcher came for consultation. She was not working with me, but she came from a very reputed institution in the country, where when she approached her guide about choosing a topic, the guide suggested to her, "Why don't you go and read?" She wanted to do it in entrepreneurship. Go and read in the literature on entrepreneurship, and then note down what are the most frequently researched issues. Now, then, she did that, and listed a few topics which are according to the priority of the most researched, and those kinds of things. and brought it to the guide. And she said, which is the most researched one? And she pointed to one. And she said, okay, you start working on that. And then I really did not understand the logic of somebody working on the most researched topic. Now, when I asked that candidate why this kind of a prescription was given, she said that is because the guide said it is easy for you to do the literature review. Now, that is the consideration. So there is literature. If it is the most researched topic, there is enough literature on that. Therefore, you can do your literature review. And that is the reason why you say that you work on the most researched topic. But then when it is already done, so much of research is done on that, what more are you going to contribute to that? Ideally, you should be picking up the least research topic, but then you don't have literature to support that. See, this is the kind of vicious circle that they were going in. So this, you know, is actually making research, redundant. You just work on something which is, but then when you do something which is not researched upon, that is where you have a chance of bringing out something, interesting about it. Now, I was, for example, the first researcher to do some work on what I called subsequently as entrepreneurial heuristics. Now, this particular term was first used by me. I was the first one to do research on that particular issue. Of course, I did not start with that terminology, but what I was interested was the unarticulated policy orientations of the entrepreneurs. Because when you start an organization or a venture, you are not going to list down the policies of the organization and all that. You just start operating. But your policies will come in your action, in your decisions that will influence you. But you yourself may not be able to articulate that. In spite of that, that will be influencing your decisions and your management of your venture. So this was the issue I wanted to look at. And nobody had done any work on that. So how do I, do my literature review in that case? What I did was I picked up the existing theories explaining entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial behavior, and then tried to point out the inadequacies of that. And finally, I came out with a kind of space for this, saying that this may be the one which would explain this particular type of entrepreneurial behavior. So the literature review was there. It was actually examining and identifying the deficiencies of other theories in the field, and then showing that there is need for a new theory. So this is how you can do. But most people think that unless something published about the specific
Hello? Hello? Professor Matthew?
I think sir is
Hello.
disconnected, sir.
Audio is on.
No, he's there. Professor Matthew, I think your voices cannot be heard. Hello? Just a minute, I'll call him.
Okay, sir.
Where's my mobile? I think he's logged off. We'll log in again, I think. give me a minute, please. Sir, we have lost you. Can you dial in again, sir? Mm. How do we go about? So what we will do, sir, and what we will do, I will, it's 12 o'clock. So what I will do is that I will start my session now. Okay, and afternoon around 3 o'clock, you can take your session. By then the internet should be okay. You can continue. Huh? Right, sir, right, sir, right, sir, right, sir. Okay. Hello? Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Professor Matthew had a small internet problem. What we are doing is that I'll start with my session now, and Professor Matthew will continue in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. Is that fine with everyone?
Yes, sir. No issues.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Professor Matthew will continue. I'll start with my session.
Okay.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It is
Okay.
Yes, sir.
it is visible.
Sorry for the small mishap. Professor Matthew's internet had suddenly gone. He's getting it done. Meanwhile, we thought we'll continue. So we will have 1 hour before lunch and an hour after lunch. And then Professor Matthew will take on again. Okay, this session is on steps in writing research paper. Okay, so before I go ahead and share something, please tell me what do you think are the steps in writing research paper? I'll start with Pinky Vyas. Pinky Vyas, I expect you to be alert. That's the problem if you people do not be alert. Pinky Vyas, can you hear me? See, the very fact that the person is taking so long to respond, it shows that the person is alert or not. Pinky Vyas, can you hear me? Pinky Vyas? Pinky Vyas, can you hear me? Okay, Bindu?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, please, can you, what in your opinion, what are the steps in writing research paper?
First is like, as the previous resource person said, we need to have a clarity on what exactly can you hear me? So what
No,
exactly?
Pinky, somebody else has started, you can take on a little later, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, what exactly we want to do a research on. So we should have a clarity on that. And after that, we need to know go through the literature review, see what are the works that already been done on that area, and then what is the scope of further research on that, and then move on with the methodologies, and based on that we can do the data collection and then inference from that.
Okay, Jalak, can you continue from here? Jalak? Jalak Takat? Tilak Thakkar, we can't hear you. Anuradha Singh,
Yes, sir. So
in
can you
your
hear me?
opinion, what are the steps?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon to all. In my opinion, that first of all, we should have the clarity of the topic or the field in which we are trying to work, and then we should go forward for having the previous research, as ma'am just now told, Bindu ma'am told, that we should do some some review work on whatever has been what already has been done, and then to find the scope of the particular topic in that research, and then we can go for and then we can, if it is survey based or data collection based, then we can collect data for that, and then we should find the methodology for that, and so
Yeah. After that, what?
after if I have identified the methodology, then we go for writing a
Sheena, can you
hypothesis
continue
on
from
that.
here? Sheena,
Yes,
can
sir.
you continue from where she has left?
So normally, first, she has been mentioned was right, but I feel we have to add one more thing. So in between, when you are doing reviews, you have to find out the adequate, whether this existing studies had any gaps related to your theme which you're planning to move ahead with. So
Beautiful. Okay.
then you have to, then next step is you have to find out the adequate research methodology which can suit for your study.
Okay.
In that particular research method, you can decide whether it is a qualitative data or a research method or a quantitative research method.
Okay.
Population, sample size, all this will come under that. Then later, by adequate analysis, you'll be able to identify or you'll be able to infer the real findings which you are intended to find out through this particular study. After that, you can put forward for a kind of discussion, or you should find out whether there is any managerial implication for this particular study or not. So otherwise, you won't be able to contribute much to this particular society. So that is what the purpose of this particular study. That's what I believe, sir.
Great, Dr. Sheena. Dr. GVR, do you want to add anything? GVR Murthy? Dr. GVR Murthy, are you there? Pinky, now are you there? Pinky Vyas? Indra Singh? Dr. GVR, I am not able to understand whether you are physically there or not. I am asking you a question, but you are not responding. Dr. GVR Murthy, is your audio working? Indra Singh, can you tell me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, according to me, what are the steps in writing the research paper? Like, first of all, there should be a problem, something that should excite you, something, that should make you curious. Now, depending on the problem, one has to think on how to solve it. So depending on the problem, we will develop a methodology. Now, once we, define what the problem is, we can come out with a research question. We can come out with the objectives. We can follow it up by review of literature. We can identify the gaps in literature.
Do you mean to say you write a research question before review of literature?
The research question, it's a broad question which comes to our mind. So after review of literature, we have to streamline it and frame it in a proper way.
How many of you agree with Indira that research question, broad or narrow, is written before review of literature?
It
Satish
has to come
Chandra?
after the review of literature, sir.
Yeah, sir, may I?
Where were you, Murthy ji? We were trying to call you, shouting at the top of your voice, even without mic, you can hear me. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, can I continue?
Indira, I want other people also. Thank you for your participation. I want a little discussion on this.
Okay,
Sir,
thank you so much, sir. Thank
May
you so
I
much.
continue, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Sir, Indira madam said rightly, somehow she's, I'm agree with her. In some cases, sir, because once we have identified some interesting topics where we identify some problem statements and accordingly we frame some kind of, objectives. And after that, we have to go for a little bit of literature review so that we can frame some questions, but not exactly entire, literature. For some kind of, questioning, we have to have some kind of hypothesis based on some literature review, obviously.
Now you are
And
using a new word called hypothesis,
yes, sir.
where Indra has started the word research question.
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. Now these all will happen after the review of literature or before the review of literature. GVR, can you hear us now?
Sir, actually, I'm not Murthy, sir. GV Murtyunjay Sharma. I was
Acha,
confusing.
I can only see, sorry, half the name, so I took it as.
Yeah. I thought that you are asking somebody. So
Okay,
that's the reason I'm
GV
not responding.
Mrutyunjay Sharma, is it?
Yeah. GV Murtyunjay Sharma.
Okay, I will call you GV. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. No issues. Okay. Sir, according to me, first of all, we need to identify the thrust area. Okay, where we need to do the research. Then we have to go with a lot of literature, and thereby we can understand the various research gap.
Okay.
After understanding the research gap, we need to go for formulating the research questions. And after the questions, we need to formulate the research objectives.
Okay, let us see what Sujata Bose says.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sujata here. Actually, I would say that, there are some questions in every researcher's mind. Suppose I'm working on a broad area. A few questions will always drive my research thrust, as Satish sir said already. So when I'm driven by the questions, I further do my literature review to find out if the particular area has already been studied. If yes, then I will try to find out the newer gaps, newer areas where I can, streamline my research. And then if there is already a gap existing, I will try to fill that up and do further literature reviews on that. So I will go that way.
Do you call the initial questions as research questions?
I would term them as queries, sir, not research questions in particular.
Okay.
So research question as...
thank you, Sujata. Let others talk. Aman, do you want to say something?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Aman, I can hear you.
So as a beginner in researcher, I will tell you my own experience, and based on that, I may be wrong also.
Don't get worried. All of us are right, all of us are wrong. I'm not at all worried. I'm interested in your participation. I'm not at all worried about being right or wrong.
See, sir, I'm sharing my own experience when I had started with my PhD, and then I was looking for a topic. As my guide guided me that first you should go in for some broader topic and then going for review of literature related to that particular topic.
Beautiful.
Right? Say,
okay.
First I selected supply chain management. Then I found that supply chain management is not my area of interest.
Very good.
Then I went to online education because I'm talking about, say, around 4 years back. When although trend in online education was there, but not to that extent.
Okay.
And when I found that when I was giving presentation related to that topic and all, and people were not ready to accept this. They were saying that how you are going to draw a comparison between online education and offline education. In India, no one is going to accept online education because the kind of trend and the mindset of people is over here. So all the time, what I found was that I was shifting from one topic to another topic because of the kind of people in the kind of experience the other people are having in that domain. That is my practical experience, that other people's to whom we are giving presentation and all, and what kind of experience they are having. Second, as the earlier participant they have talked about, that how much research has already been done in that area. There were very few research articles related to that at that time. So then this was the major problem which I faced.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Mohsin, you want to say something, Mohsin?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
So I agree with all the opinions, and every research starts with a
You should have
problem.
been in Delhi becoming a politician.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, you're agreeing with everybody's opinion. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Actually, I am learning because I am just a beginner basically. So
Okay.
every research starts with a problem, sir. And then when we identify a problem, then after that we start literature review, sir. And
Okay.
when we done the literature review, then we come up with a research gap, and after that we select a research topic, and then we select the questions. What was the objective? What will be the objective
Okay.
of our
Great.
research?
Great. We'll stop there. Let me
Okay,
ask
sir.
Dr. Jayalakshmi. Jayalakshmi, are you physically there?
Yes, sir, I am
Dr. Jayalakshmi?
audible. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We can't see you. That's why I'm asking you.
Sir,
Yes, some human being is there. Yeah, I can see a madam. Yeah.
okay,
Madam?
sir. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. No, your face cannot be seen by anyone, madam.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Can you tell us what is your opinion?
My opinion is, first of all, each and everyone has interested in their particular area. For example, finance, marketing. Then we have to move to the review of literature.
Right.
A lot of review of literature. After that, we have to collect the information from the review of literature. Then we have to find the research gap, and then research problem. Then collect the data from various people. So, sample, we have to collect a sample from the population. After that, we have to select the methodology.
Right.
Then,
No, we are stopping at the research question. Now, Fateh, are you there? Are you physically there or only name is there?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Can you show up, please?
So at my side, lighting is not proper. That's why I'm not.
Don't worry, we can see you in darkness.
Okay, sir.
We are not in any beauty contest. Don't worry at all. You can keep talking, Fateh. Yeah, we
Yes,
can
sir.
see you very well, Fateh.
Okay, sir. So basically, we start from finding out a legit research problem first, and then we do a detailed, proper, and a comprehensive literature review to figure out that whether the problem we are looking for or problem we are tending to search for is it a legit one or not. And then we come up with research questions, and further research process
Great.
follows.
Thank you.
Like others have said.
Indrapreet, the last person to talk. Indrapreet, can you tell your opinion? Indrapreet Bhogal, are you physically there? Indrapreet, are you there? Indrapreet Bhogal. Okay. Now,
sir, can I add something?
Huh?
Can I add something, sir?
Saptarshi this discussion will continue.
Okay, sir.
I'll call you in. I want everyone to participate. I'll definitely call you in.
Right, sir.
Before anything else, I just want to give you a small introduction of myself. This is my 42nd year of technical research experience. I completed about this June 30th. I'll be completing my 43 years. Out of which 24 years, I was working in development and maintenance and certification of avionics for fighter aircraft in defense and DRDO. I was developing things like mission computer, weapon aiming systems, all these systems which you have perhaps must have seen in movies. We were developing that. Then after that 2 years, I was working as a vice president of a telecom company. I moved into IT and then to TCS for about 10 years. I was working on the software, and I worked in about close to about 22 countries in TCS, including this one. I first did my academic assignment in Pumba in 1985-88. in Pune University. Then joined in full time about 7 years back as a professor in IIM Indore. And recently, about 2-3 years back, I moved to join for personal reasons. I had to move back to Bangalore. So I moved back to Bangalore as a professor and Dean Research in XIME. I have done several research projects while in defense and continued my research throughout. Then comes, I am certified in qualitative research from London School of Economics, innovation management from Steinbeis, Germany, and case method of teaching from Harvard, and published my papers in Harvard, Journal of International Business Education, Journal of Innovation, several international journals, and then presented my papers in UK, USA, Canada, and Hong Kong. Then I authored a book on Agile and ITPM, which is now presently being used as a textbook in UK and Australia. Now publishing another book, a chapter in another book on digital transformation, which is being published by Cambridge University, UK, under Professor Kaplan, former Harvard University professor and presently with Cambridge. How many of you heard of Professor Kaplan? Oh, great.
I've heard, sir.
Oh, lovely. Now, this is a brief introduction of mine. What is research? The first question. You all agreed to this? Anyone who thinks that it is not? Do you all agree? Research is essentially knowledge creation?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, I'm adding to that. It is a community-driven exercise of building and evaluating theories in a reproducible and verifiable manner. Now, each word has got a very, very strong importance in this particular thing. First of all, it is a community-driven exercise. No researcher has ever researched alone, either physically or through the books of others. You continue the research of someone else. And mostly, if you find out a part of some research here, another part of the same research could be found out somewhere else. So it is essentially community-driven exercise, not a singular exercise by one person, say, I have lifted the earth myself. It doesn't happen. Number thing is, it is building theories and evaluating theories. You build a theory out of your own instrument that you create, and out of your own data collection, you build a theory. But the theory doesn't get accepted unless it is evaluated by field implementation. Unless you get a chance to go and implement in places and implement, and then it is proven that really works. Like, for example, I created a model called SESI model of innovation ecosystem, which I presented in Hong Kong. The model was implemented in 4 organizations. After it is proved, now with all the evaluation, when it was submitted, now it is being taught SESI model of the innovation ecosystem being taught in several schools across the world. Similarly, there is one agile evaluation method which I created, was implemented across the organization in TCS for about 3,000 people. After it was being successful, it was accepted by several organizations in the world as a proper method for evaluation, this one. So that means you have to build a theory and evaluate a theory. Because building theory is out of your own simple knowledge, but evaluation comes in the physical situation. Now, then comes one is reproducible. This anybody should be able to reproduce. That means it should be available for public to reproduce, and with, of course, proper acknowledgements and verifiable manner. Whatever you have written, somebody may question you, why do you say that? How do you say that? What is the basis of your telling this? How can you generalize with this? Jalak, you are lifting your hand. Please. Jalak. What is the problem with most of your audios and videos? In the last 1.5 years, we have been teaching online, and you people are not able to manage your audios and videos. Jalak, nobody can hear you, Jalak. For a minute, we'll ignore the raised hand of Jalak. She has raised her hand, but we don't know why she's not speaking. So the reproducible and verifiable manner. That means one is community, second is building theories, third is verifying theories, fourth is anybody should be able to reproduce and they can ask you questions to prove what you are talking. Verification is a part of every research. Okay, any questions on this definition? Anyone? Or any comments? Ranjana, you may be speaking, but we can't hear you because your mute is on. Ranjana, your mute is on. Okay.
Sir,
anyone who wants to comment on it?
No, sir.
Sir, may
excuse me, I have one question.
Have some clarification, sir.
Yeah, Mrityunjay.
Yeah, sir, regarding verifiable manner, okay, I just want to get a clarity. Who has to thoroughly verify our research?
Anybody can question. I'll tell you one example of this verifiable manner.
Yes, sir.
See, recently, some Indians have published a beautiful research paper on corona, on COVID-19. And they proved that the type of the COVID-19 which is there prevalent in the human beings could not have come from animals. And it was published in Harvard. It was widely appreciated. But people across the world started questioning the article. The amount of evidence that you have collected is too short to prove that it is a lab-grown virus. Ultimately, they had to withdraw their article and take it out of publishing. Are you aware of this, GB?
Yes, sir.
The seekers.
Got it, sir.
Sir, are you referring to the seekers?
I'm not very good with names. I can sometimes forget my wife's name, though I'm married for 40 years. So don't get worried about names. But it is. Are you aware of this incident?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Yes, sir.
So now, when you propose a theory, the people insist that you give beyond any doubt, verifiability. Anybody can question. If I put something, somebody may say, please prove it. You may be invited for a discussion, debate. Are you with me, GB?
Yes, sir. See, actually, the way this thought has come to my mind because recently we have done one research saying that recently Reserve Bank of India has made moratorium period. So one of my students has done the project on this, and people are making a comment on this. This short-term impact definitely may not be a great impact for the banking organization because the moratorium period is only for a shorter period. What we collected the data from the bank. So regarding this issue, I just wanted to get clarity.
No, GB, it's very clear. If you have to put it in the limitations of the research, that it is only on short term and it may not be valid.
Yes, sir.
Unless a long-term information is added.
Yeah.
See, if there is a limitation, you'll have to very clearly mention it in your research that this is the limitation of my research.
Yes, sir.
Like, for example, if somebody asks me what will be the impact of COVID-19 on children after 10 years after the infection, can somebody talk about it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because the infection itself is 1 year old.
Exactly, sir. That's true.
So the basic thing, verifiability, is enough evidence has been presented within the limitations of your research that you have put.
Yeah.
Enough evidence has been provided, and future people can do longer research.
Yeah.
They can take it forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments on this?
Sir, may I?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I just want to know about, sir, the term reproducible. It is a re plus produce. So, sir, when we are talking about reproducible, sir, there are some theories or there are some facts that we cannot reproduce on the basis of past theories. Sir, if I talk about my topic or my area of interest is about organizational politics, in particularly Gujarat public sector organization. So, sir, particularly in this topic, I don't found any literature on basis of that. So, sir, how can I how can I relate my topic, or how can I relate my topic on the basis of the particular or previous theory? Because all the instrument, all the literature that I have found is on the basis of some of them are from UK or from
No, great question, Hita.
From US.
Reproducibility, by reproducibility, what I mean, Hita, is when I see your methodology, when I follow your methodology, say 100 times, say I take another 100 people to follow the same methodology, same set of samples, and do the same research, the results will be by and large the same. Reproducibility means whatever you have done. You tell me, are you a chemistry student by any chance, even in class 10, class 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you do if I say potassium permanganate is mixed with potassium and manganese, if they are mixed in a particular thing, is something called potassium permanganate and something will come, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if somebody writes, if you mix this with this, potassium permanganate comes. Even if you do 1,000 times, same thing mixed with same thing will come, correct?
Yes, sir.
That means I'm able to reproduce?
Yes, sir.
So in management research also, you have followed, for example, whatever it is, organizational polity, or what have you done? Organizational?
Politics, sir. Organizational power and politics.
Power and polity, if you have taken, for example, you have done some study, you followed some methodology, correct?
Yes.
You have taken some sort of sample, and you have collected some data, either through interviews, qualitative, quantitative, you collected some data. When you collect that and you present to me, now if I say I will go and do a similar research in a similar organizations with a similar methodology, I will get by and large similar results. That is reproducibility. Like are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I am getting.
Reproducibility means you cannot just talk that I met Ramba in my dream. I said, show me. No, she came into my dream. I cannot show you. That is not research. Research is something I should be able to reproduce. Whatever you have done, if I do, the same type of result will come. Okay, Hita.
Yes,
Any other
yes,
questions?
sir.
Any other questions, please?
Sir, another clarification, may I, sir?
Yeah, please, Gayatri.
Sir, when we speak about verifiable manner, if you are going for tools of validation with respect to questionnaire, statistical, then can we say our research is more verifiable in the case of empirical?
No. If you don't do the validation of your tools, it is not research at all. Verifiable means if I go and meet the same organization or same type of study, whether you've done or not, I should be, like, for example, I may ask you to call a management association may call to a meeting, say, Gayatri, you have published this. Tell me who are the people who express this opinion. In a confidential manner, you should be able to say that, yes, this data, it is not that you have created or faked any data. You should be able to show because many times your actual data may not be published. Only the analysis may be published. But somebody may call you for a discussion. Your data is too damaging. Please show the origin of your data. You should be able to go and show your origin. That is verifiability.
Okay,
Are
sir,
you?
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question? Vishnu?
Yeah.
Vishnu? Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So
Good
since
afternoon,
the point of discussion is reproducibility, I think that we should also need to understand the importance of stating the assumptions also at this point. Because one thing to state assumption is to fundamentally to define the scope of the research and also to make it reproducible. Correct,
You are
sir?
right. That is where I'm telling you, your assumptions are your limitations for research.
It
You
also
made an
defines the
assumption
scope.
that assumption becomes a limitation. See, whatever you publish, whatever assumptions and limitations or whatever you publish, if I repeat the same thing under the same conditions, by and large, I get the same results. Is reproducibility.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Anyone else wants to comment? Beautiful. I'm really loving the interaction. All of you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Anita Raman.
Yes,
Madam, I'm
Yes,
waiting for you. Please.
If you were to look at in a different perspective of research, as when I'm just seeing your quote, when we are saying knowledge creation exercise, and you're also saying a community driven. So sometimes if you could share a little bit on what community driven here is. You said getting the data from different platforms when people are doing the research at different places. And
Yeah,
then
okay, I got your question. Community driven has got two connotations. First connotation is you alone will not be able to do any major research yourself. So you collaborate. It's usually collaborative. Maybe Anita Raman from Kerala along with George Wellinker in Germany, along with somebody in Israel, all the three may be doing. You say you do the Israeli study, you do this study, you do that study. All the three put together, like for example, I'll give you a community driven an example. Somebody in Germany has created a easier way of breath and not breath analyzer to be able to detect whether somebody is drunk while driving. Not breath analyzer where so many infections can be there because somebody has blown into it, then you blow into it, and so some infections are. Now they have tested in Germany and it is working. But they wanted to test in different type of individuals and different continents. They came to our organization, requested for our help. Then we worked with them in Bangalore and we gave our results. Then they went to Africa, the black community. They got the data from there. So that is one connotation of community driven. The second, this one is, research is a continuum. Continuum means you do something, you leave it, you say, I've checked how poor people in Kerala, what is their medical choices, whether they go to a corporate hospital or a public health center or something, you do a research, for example. Now you see, I do a study in Kerala, but I cannot say that it will apply to all over India. Then Hita may take up from her side, she may continue the study in Gujarat. She may say, in Gujarat, this is not getting proved, or this getting proved. Gayatri may do in Tamil Nadu. Are you getting it? That means it is continued by person in different conditions, same conditions, in different places, different type of people. That means it's research is a community-driven exercise. People work together. The very fact that you refer to the previous research of earlier people, that means you are referring to what the other people have written and continuing from there. That is what we call it community-driven exercise.
Thank you so much for those inputs. You know, really it gave a perspective wherein so many things opened up for me.
Thank
in
you.
just
Thank
that,
you. Thank
that,
you,
that
ma'am. Thank you.
sentence made so much of a difference to my knowledge. Thank you.
Great, great. You know, you people really made my day because teachers are the worst students. I don't know whether you people know or not. Teachers are the worst students in the world. If you can teach teachers well, that means you're a good teacher. Otherwise, you are not at all a teacher. But you people have proved it wrong. The way you are interacting really gives me a feeling that you are so interested in it. Thank you so much. Can I go to the next slide, please? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm going to the next slide. Now, I'm giving another definition. Research is a structured inquiry that utilizes acceptable scientific methodology to solve problems and creates new knowledge that is generally applicable. Now, just read it once before you start fighting with me. Just read it once. After that, I'm ready for a wrestling. Have you all read it? Aman, you lifted your hand. Aman? Aman, if you lift your hand, you should tell me why you lifted your hand. Aman Jindal Saab is not talking.
Oh, sir, it was by mistake only.
Okay, no problem. Because I take lifting
Sorry,
hands
sir.
seriously. No problem.
No,
Okay,
sorry.
now let us discuss this. Now I ask Saptarshi to analyze this definition.
So I like to put a perspective, in fact, a small story, and obviously seek your inputs and everyone else's input. So I used to be a very poor student, and I attribute that to my father because my father was a researcher and a scientist. So he never advocated me to study test papers. He said that you should study textbooks. And I landed up piling up textbooks and studying from textbooks. And obviously, I got more and more confused. And my friends in school used to have great grades because they used to study from test papers. So finally, long story short, I understood that if you study test papers, if you understand what the question is supposed to be, you can backward integrate and arrive with your own answers. It's an easier and simpler method by which you can prove something. So going forward in life, and with relation to what I see as an entrepreneur, I'm also an entrepreneur and an academician. So what I see as an entrepreneur and what I see as an academician are two different things. So when I attend certain research journal publications, their seminars and webinars and stuff like that, so they say that to do research, one has to backward integrate. So I need to understand what is the most trailing topic. I need to understand who are the key people in that particular research. I need to cite them so that my research gets the maximum amount of citation. It has to connect with a social cause, which is a burning topic. And then I do a backward integration of data collection methodologies and all that, and I publish it. So that stands very good when it comes to publishing something, getting kudos, getting brownie points, and possibly getting a promotion. I completely understand. Unfortunately or fortunately, most of us land up doing this. But as an
let us talk about this definition.
Yeah. So I'll come to this. I'm coming to this in a moment. So as an entrepreneur, what I see is when I started, I had an idea. And I looked around. So when I had an idea and I looked around, I possibly have some perceptions, and I collected data or customer feedback in terms of whether my perceptions are right or wrong. And based upon that, I came with a concept, a proof of concept. And that proof of concept has to be tested to come up with a product prototype. And Bhatta sir, I'm sure you being with avionics and stuff like that, it's pretty similar. I mean, DRDO would have also done similar stuff, as in you do a proof of concept, and from that proof of concept, from that drawing board, you create a prototype, you test that prototype, and once that prototype functions immaculately well in every weather, in every situation surrounding, then you can commission it, right, sir? So that's exactly how it is, and that's how methodologically you need to proceed, not by looking at what others have done and what is available in the market and backward integrate. So that is my life's lesson. So when you talk of a structured inquiry,
Again, you are digressing quite a lot from the definition that I wanted you to explain.
Yeah.
For a minute, I wanted KP Radhika to speak because she was trying to speak something. KP Radhika. KP Radhika.
Sir, good afternoon,
you were
sir.
trying to
I
speak.
had some
Sorry,
interruptions. Yes, I had some interruptions out here.
No problem. You wanted to speak. I want to.
Yeah,
I've
sir,
seen
I
you.
wanted to understand, I mean, as young research, sometimes we are left like we are in an ocean, not able to crack. So many things are there in this.
I am going to teach you swimming. I'm going to teach you diving. I'm going to teach you everything, even flying. You will be a flying fish after this course.
Yeah, because each these resources are, it's like ocean. So I don't know how we have to actually assimilate them, understand them, and then take it up to the practice.
Beautiful. That's why I said we will look at one by one. I said research is a structured inquiry. Let us use each word carefully. Structured inquiry. Structured inquiry means the inquiry has been made following some methodology.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
And some accepted methodology. Okay, that means utilizes acceptable scientific methodology. Like for example, let us say Radhika wants to research on what will be the mental state of soldiers when they serve for long periods of time away from their families in inhospitable conditions. Say, for example, this is what she wants to, this one. Correct?
Yes.
What will be the structured inquiry? To be able to visit practically some inhospitable places, spend time with the soldiers. Either you join them, immerse with them, live along with them to observe them. What we call it as? What do we call this as? Anybody? Anybody wants to say? Going and immersing with them and observing and doing research is called what?
Ethnographic.
Ethnographic studies. Beautiful. Sujata, thank you, and all others who told thank you. Ethnographic studies. So you go and do that, or you go and visit, talk to people, ask them what is their feelings, how do they feel, what is their life like, and each one freely expresses his opinion, and ultimately you come out. Now that means you use one of the acceptable scientific methodology. It need not be necessarily an ethnographic study. Ethnographic study is one of the scientific methodology. It could be interviews. It could be just observe them. You need not live like that. They say, na, inquire, observe, or immerse. So one of the scientific methodology. Now, what problems do you solve? You publish that this is the basic situation. You ultimately come out with a theory that if a soldier is more than 6 months is away from this, he is more likely to get into a depression, more likely to behave erratic, and his efficiency could be affected. Say, for example, you come out with this one. Now, this gives an input to the authorities that the study report says this. So now they look at how to solve the problems of soldiers who stay away from families. Solve problems and creates new knowledge that is generally applicable. New policies come up, new knowledge comes up, talks about more and more psychometric evaluation of people, more and more information about people. That means what we have done a structured inquiry, used acceptable scientific methodology to solve some problems it will help, and create new knowledge that is generally applicable. Are you able to understand from the example that I'm trying to give you?
Yes, sir.
Elizabeth, are you
Yes,
with me?
Yes, sir.
Are you
Yes,
able to
sir.
understand?
Yes, sir, very much.
Sir,
GV?
Yes, sir, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now I'll go proceed one step further. There is a working definition. Yeah, Abhishek, you lifted your hand. Can you please tell me, please?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question regarding the last slide.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, is it necessary? Research is always the structure type.
Structure does not mean you follow a methodology. You follow an acceptable methodology by the researchers. Structure does not mean that you build a building and do that. Structure means you follow an acceptable methodology. You cannot say my uncle is a soldier. He lived in Leh for 10 years and his feeling is that he gets this one, and you can say that soldiers feel very sad about it. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
It has to follow a structured methodology which is generally acceptable, because otherwise it will not create a new knowledge. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Sir, suppose the researchers are working in those areas where not proven methodology is available. So, sir, how it can be
Come out with
happen?
an example.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
No, even after a while, if you get an example, we can still continue to discuss. Okay, now working definition, it is the habit of questioning with systematic examination of the observed information to find answers which may result in more effective professional services. That means it is more of a business definition. It is systematic examination of observed information to find answers to some questions which may help improving something in the world, some services, some products, something. That is what it is. In all the three definitions, if you have noticed, value addition is most important part in a research. If you have seen all the three definitions, without a value addition, any research that you do is of no use. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Now, there are several types of research: pure research, applied research, descriptive research, exploratory research, correlational research, inquiry mode, quantitative, qualitative research. We'll see each one of them a little later, don't get worried. Now, types of research, when we come to that, first is called action research. Can somebody give me an example of action research?
Sir, may I try?
Please.
Sir, in action research, the entire setting is, that means we have to prepare a research settings. And say, for example, sir, I'm working on a business, that business school, Kisan Business School, that is poultry business school that is being conducted in Tamil Nadu, sir. So there is an area called as Namakkal. So where what we have done, we have conducted a survey of around 30.
Namakkal is the place where my mother was born. So don't tell me that there is a place called Namakkal. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So there are a number of poultry farmers who are there. So we have picked randomly 35 poultry growers, and we are giving them, with the help of Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, we are giving them all the informations, right practices in this entire, poultry farming. And we are observing each and everything in this activity. And also we have compared this with the prior, 2-3 years of experience which they have. And we are just trying to analyze how much enhancement they have in this economy, sir, financial and economical aspects.
Beautiful. Very nicely talked.
Sir, can I try?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sir. Action research, the concept as propounded by Reg Ravens, like it consists of having cross-functional individuals forming teams and then solving a problem, then solving an organizational problem from differing perspectives.
Beautiful. Indra, very nice. But only one thing what I wanted to say is that not necessarily cross-functional, depending on the type of research that you are carrying out, the necessary skills should be there. Okay. If you are alone capable of doing those skills, okay, like for example, I'll give you an easy example. Okay, now you say vaccine, the impact of vaccine on the nursing mothers. Okay, suppose you want to study. Okay, now how do you do action research on this? Anybody? Namrata. Namrata.
So, sir, yeah, sir, this is Namrata here. I wanted to, first tell about the.
No, first answer my question.
Yeah,
Then you
of course, I will try.
No, start with that.
The samples, those are, nursing mothers itself, and then we can check.
So basically what you do is that you want to see what will be the type of impact on this one.
Yes.
So you take some say some sizable number of nursing mothers who are willing and volunteering.
Yes.
Okay. Before you go to that, perhaps you put it on say nursing monkeys or nursing dogs or nursing something. So before you start actually doing it on a human being, you may do it on some other living species. After that, you may start with nursing mothers, some volunteering nursing mothers, put them in controlled conditions with under medical care, medical observation, so that something goes wrong, you will be able to observe. Then after sufficient long this one, we will say that this is the impact of vaccine on a nursing mothers. Correct?
Yeah. Sir, can I ask one thing? Like, can we put the research we do in the advertising field? Like, suppose if we want to gauge the effectiveness or impact of one particular ad before launching the another ad, so that will come under action research?
No, if you want to see how much your ad dollars converted to your sale dollars, if your idea was that how much money the
always
money
related to the monetary part. Sometimes maybe what kind of content is going to influence the viewers.
No, see, ultimately the influencing the users is also will ultimately convert it to sale dollars. Correct?
Yes.
If I see your ad and keep dancing in my house, it is of no use to you, Namrata, unless I come to your shop and buy it. Correct?
Yes, correct.
So ultimate purpose is to convert it to marketing sale dollars.
Yes.
You spend some marketing dollars, you want to convert it to sale dollars, and you want to do a study.
Definitely.
So see, in action research, you will not, this cannot be strictly called action research, because in action research, you don't do it for the future thing. You do it in action research to find answers to a problem, so that that problem can be in future, the same problem can be sorted out. I won't check whether the present advertisement, how much it has yielded in sale to get the next advertisement. Like for example, going back to the same nursing mothers example, if I want to say, after my action research, I can say you can give safely to nursing mothers without any problem. That means I will say whatever I have done, I generalize with that. I won't do it for the future action. Are you able to get it?
Yeah, yes, sir, definitely.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir, so then can we say action research or better used to assess the efficiency of interventions? You said the vaccine example.
Absolutely. Gayatri, you became a better teacher than me. Beautifully mentioned. It is a better way of assessing how our interventions result.
Okay.
Like for example, I'll go back to a old story. None of you must have been born when this picture was released. There is a picture called Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani. Has anybody seen this picture? This is called Chandamama Combines has produced this picture, a beautiful picture. You should download in the YouTube and see it. A phenomenally great picture. It will tell you how to bring up your children. Okay, now in this, children become very irresponsible. Now parents sit down and decide what we will do is we will give the financial management to children and see how it will change. They do an action research. Father says, all that I need per month is 10 rupees per month. The rest of my salary, I'll give it to children. And now you run the house. This is what intervention has been done. Now, in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, children start realizing how difficult it is to run the house. Now, it is one intervention which told children what it is. Now, later on, you can say, if you are finding a difficult situation, put the children to manage it and they will understand what is the difficulty. It is to see the impact and effectiveness of our intervention so that such interventions can be generalized and popularized with adequate evidence and theory. Yeah.
Sir, can I?
So,
yes, Elizabeth, please.
So, sir, can we?
So, in that sense, if we.
No, who is speaking, Elizabeth or Hita?
Yes.
Who is speaking?
I was trying to speak. Hita, if you want.
No, carry on, Elizabeth. Hita can take next. Yeah.
Okay. So, if I were to conclude, it is like the effect of the intervention would be visible right away instead of like the sales thing, which there is a delayed effect when we are talking about advertisement. But in this case of an intervention,
you cannot say that.
The immediacy of the response or the effectiveness is visible.
No. It is not possible. Like for example, I'll tell you, the greatest action research in the world is Hawthorne experiments. Everyone who has done MBA would have studied Hawthorne experiments. Anybody who has not heard of Hawthorne experiments? Why is it called Hawthorne experiments? Anybody can tell me?
Conducted at Hawthorne plant.
Lovely. It's conducted at a place called Hawthorne.
Yes.
Conducted at a place called Hawthorne. And the Hawthorne experiments were to know what improves the productivity of the workers. Correct? Whole purpose is that. They first tried illumination. Proper illumination. Then they wanted the facilities, the proper facilities. Then they did something else. So ultimately they came out, and you know how many years the Hawthorne experiments went on, Elizabeth? Anybody?
I think at least 2 years is what I
1924 to 1932, sir.
7 years they continued the experiments, and 8th year they published the report. Why I am telling, it cannot be possible that the result will be possible to be seen immediately. Result will be available sometimes later, sometimes faster, sometimes this, depending on the situation. Let's not generalize the immediacy of the results. Yeah, Hita, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. So can we relate action research with some transformational change or some effect?
Anything. You can say if we are in an organization, you want to see how exactly this will work. Like for example, if I feel that my employees are quite tense, I want to see by employing a counselor how the tension of employees comes down. Then we can say if the employees of an organization in a tough condition, it's better to keep a counselor under conditions. Because we have done. If we have done just in one organization, it cannot, it may have to be repeated in 1 or 2 places to generalize. So it is absolutely, this is the impact of something that we want to see. Then the case research. Yeah, Sheena?
Yes, sir. Can we call this action research as selecting a particular group to impose our, interventions?
Hey, you are using a bad word. Gali. Impose is never done. Impose is a gali in research.
Okay. We have.
That's why we bring volunteers. We bring people who are willing. Who sometimes, recently I participated in a research in a UK research. They send me 50 GBP as a reward. See, they
have to come in and ready for this particular
in our Indian tradition, there are 4 systems: Sama, Dana, Beda, Danda. Danda is never used here. Okay, in research.
No, sir, what I meant is that respondents are ready to undergo such kind of assumptions or our interventions. But what we have to do is we are just observing the actual result which we are expecting from that particular group by conducting certain experiments.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you. Case research. All of us know case research, but I'll be dealing 3 sessions on case research. So I won't do much and publishing the research papers, which will be the result of most of these things. Now, books and book chapters. Books and book chapters is another well-known method of action research activity. Now, laboratory experiment and trial and error efforts are generally part of action research. Now, where is that? 1 second. I have actually, there is a beautiful slide which is this picture cannot be displayed. Why? Okay, there's a beautiful picture which is missing. It says it cannot be displayed. Anyway, I'll find a reason why it is not able to display. I'll show it in the afternoon. Don't worry. Okay. Now comes the research papers, which I think now it is 1:15. Do you people want to have a break for lunch?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But there is one rule. Sheena,
Yes,
for you
sir.
particularly. I'm imposing that you won't eat more than necessary so that you'll sleep after lunch.
No, never, sir. Never, sir.
Okay, please eat limited so that I can't, I'm very out of touch with singing lullabies to wake you up or put you to sleep. Okay, so please go for your lunch and take care. We'll join exactly at 2:15. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Exactly
Thank you, sir.
2:15 will
Thank
join.
you, sir.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There you are. Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So we can